Remember, Highlander, there can be only one. A Scottish delicacy. Sometimes you get that when you go camping in certain places. There's something about it that spooks you a little bit. That was the case for me here. Remember, Highlander, there can be only one. I find using the metal eyelets stronger than using the toggles. Nature's fridge. problem I've got with campsites as well is I'm one of those people that always think the perfect spot is just around the corner. You know, so I'm never happy. I'm always stopping, scouting a place out, moving on and carrying on, and then 2 hours later I end up going back to like the 5th place that I looked at or something. To be honest, from a camping location point of view, camping down at sort of shingle stone beds like this near rivers, it's very scenic, but it's a terrible place to camp for a few different reasons. The most obvious one being, you know, that's a riverbed, so if there was particularly heavy rain somewhere, you know, further up the river or something, you can find yourself being flooded out in the night. There's no rain forecast for a couple of days, but you never know, especially in the UK. But then, I'm also one of those people that I spend 3-4 hours sometimes driving to these locations I've never been before because the scenery looks incredible. And I think, yeah, that'll be a great place to go camping. And I find great places, I find nice scenic spots. And then I bury myself away into the woods because that's a primary location for camping. You know, it ticks all of the boxes. You're kind of hidden away, so it's a bit stealthy. You're away from, you know, large trees, bodies of water, landslides, all the dangers that can happen in the outdoors, and you don't want to be camped in those places. But the safest places are also the most generic, boring places, so you end up coming to this really stunning location, burying yourself away in the trees, camping, waking up, going home, and, you know, what was the point of the drive? I could have camped 20 minutes from my house. So, even though it would have been a hell of a lot easier for me to set up this tarp in the trees, you know, rather than rigging up these sort of poles and try to get pegs into the stony ground, I thought, you know, this time I'm just gonna pitch my camp exactly in the spot that if I seen the place as a photograph, I would say I'd love to camp right there on that spot. And I've just did that here. A pretty big red deer. You can really feel the autumn starting to come now. It's getting a bit chillier. It's forecast to be quite a clear night tonight, which means the temperatures here are actually due to go as low as -1 or -2 Celsius. I don't know if it'll go as low as that though, to be honest. Plus it's still very cloudy. The temperature is dropping. It's 5 degrees Celsius just now. It's only 9 o'clock, so I'm not really hungry. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to have a cup of tea. I'm going to get into my sleeping bag, and I think, I don't know, maybe just sit and listen to some of the sounds. All I can hear is the river. There's an owl. That's it. Not much wind. I've got no signal on my phone here. I did have a little bit earlier, but it went away. Yeah, just a chilled early night, I think. I'll see if I can get up round about sunrise, which isn't until 7 o'clock anyway.
Well, not the best sleep, to be honest. Tiny little bit of wind kept me awake a little bit. For people that think ventilation in a tent is good enough to prevent condensation, take a look at this. The underside of the tarp is dripping with condensation, and you can't get more ventilated than completely open. It was mostly cloudy, but there was a few moments where I woke up, and because the tarp was so open, I could just see straight up to the sky, and it was like perfect Milky Way type, stars everywhere type stuff. Only for a few minutes though, and then a big cloud would sort of roll in, so it was good while it lasted. Crystal clear mountain water. When water's that clear, you don't really need to put it through a purifier, or even a filter, to be honest, but you know, you never really know what's upstream. Could be a dead animal upstream for all I know, so oh well anyway. Don't know why I had such a restless night. Sometimes you get that when you go camping in certain places. You just, there's something about it that spooks you a little bit, and you're not quite comfortable. And that was the case for me here. I'm not the kind of person that believes in anything, but one thing I do kind of believe in, I suppose, is if you're camping in a wilderness location that you've never been before, and you get that kind of, you know, just that feeling that it's not right, it's not a good place to be, then just move on. You know, if I was out for a few more nights, I would move on from here now to somewhere else that I was just a little bit more comfortable. To be honest, it's probably because I've camped in a very exposed, open type location. It's not natural for me to do that. Ordinarily, I wouldn't pitch camp in such an open place. I would go to cover under the trees and squirrel myself away, but this time I thought I'd be a little bit more out in the open under the stars. Forgot to bring some cooking oil with me, but these are usually greasy enough. A Scottish delicacy, square sausage. It's not pretty no more. Clean off your pan as best you can. Just leave the little sponge in the pan out to dry. It's usually faster for this stuff to dry than it is for your little fibre towel to dry. And the black underneath of pots and things like that, if you're using fuel like this, you'll always get soot build up. Now, some people try to scrub all the soot off, and some people get really anal about it and try and get it to go completely back to being shiny. But it's actually beneficial to leave a lot of the black soot on anyway, because it disperses the heat better, I find. So the only thing I do is I'll give it a rub on the grass to get the majority of the loose stuff off, so it doesn't go into my hands all the time. But that's why you need to have a separate bag when you're carrying pots and pans and things that you're going to be using over a fire. As you can see, the majority of it kind of came off, but I just let it build up over time. You can see from years of me using this bottle that it's kind of just ingrained on there now, but like I say, it's actually beneficial. As always, do a check of the area, make sure you've not left anything behind, no pegs or anything like that. Never leave any rubbish or scorch marks or anything. Always have a gash bag, you know, take your rubbish with you.